This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, here on May the 4th, 2022. Getting a little spring weather out here. And folks, I have a beautiful, stunning guest on here today. Gorgeous hair, beautiful face. Folks, you know her as Kelly Meeker from Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. She's been known to have a hard body when she's on fraternity vacations. A little wordplay there. Folks, I give you the absolutely beautiful Kathleen Kinmont. How do you do, Kathleen?
Thank you, Python. I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I know you've said to me in passing that your hair right now is because you're going to be playing a queen.
Oh, yes. I have a I have a little audition coming up after this. A little audition. I love how we kind of downplay it. But yes, we are doing all of our auditions in home now. So it's fun to have the time to spruce it up and have it still look good before you get in the car and drive away.
Danielle Harris could play the princess.
Oh, yes. She's always the princess, for sure.
She's
Well, how's
supposed
it
to.
going?
It's going great. It is going wonderful. I'm glad to have you on here and do this interview. You're my first Halloween 4 interview, so
Oh,
absolutely. But I do know in passing that I always ask how people got into the business, but it's kind of in your blood because your mom was an actress. Would you like to talk about that?
always. I love talking about my mom, Abby Dalton, and she was an actress in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. She really had a nice, long, illustrious career, and she did a lot of Roger Corman films when she first started, which I did as well. And then she went on to primetime TV with Falcon Crest, and she and I got to work together a few times. I mean, the first time we worked together was on the Joy Bishop show because she was pregnant with me on the show, and I was born onto the show. So that was, Joey Bishop holding me in the hospital was the very last episode. And so I guess, that it was there. It was a part of my family life.
Mm-hmm.
With my mom, who did a lot of plays and traveled the country and did game shows, a tremendous amount of that. So there were just like lively, colorful people in our home and in our environment all the time. I was really just so used to it. So by the time I was like 15, I really kind of knew what I wanted to do. I'd done enough commercials and as a kid, although not enjoying the whole process of auditioning, really. I kind of took a break so I could play sports mostly. But I always love acting as far as just really the storytelling aspect of it. I think that's why I like it. It's not so much that I can be somebody else, but I love telling stories, and I think those are so vital for who we are as a species. I don't really know of anybody. I don't know if the animal kingdom sits around and talks about anything other than, hey, are you done eating that? Are you done with this? Right?
Well,
I mean, I don't think they're talking about relationships, and I don't think that they're talking about what happened last year or a big war that happened before that we need to retell, and that, there's nothing espionage about the animal kingdom. But
you mean to tell me they're not up on Amber Heard desecrating on somebody's bed?
Oh, several animals. Several. In fact, I'm gonna get a cat and name it Amber and just hope I don't piss it off, or like play some practical joke on it where the cat is like, oh, I've got you. I've got you on practical jokes.
I've been watching
I have a
Amber.
practical joke and I'm going to raise it several bars.
Oh my goodness, you know.
Brutal.
Poor Amber Heard, you know.
Poor
I,
both of them. I mean, both of that whole thing is just like so nasty and just messy and
well, you had
nasty.
said to me before, and passing, because this came up, that if she referred to it as a practical joke gone wrong. Well, if
Mhm.
that's the case, what did he do to escalate that?
Yes, absolutely. What did he play on her that she was like, oh, I've got to go there? I mean, that's the question the lawyer really should have asked is, Mr. Depp,
Yeah.
can I just ask you, what was the practical joke that took her to this level of defecation, desecration, despicable, dastardly, demonic. I'm just going to go full alliteration here.
For those tuning in, we had started a Zoom interview, and for some weird reason, the countdown come up there for 40 minutes, even though there's only two of us. So,
Those will
so
be the outtakes, Python.
this will be
Yeah, because
yeah.
we're too professional to repeat ourselves.
Yeah, well,
It's too
I kind of wanted to go through and kind of get a talk about, because I know you mentioned your mom, one of the Corman films was screened by Quentin Tarantino, and that was nice for you to attend and at the Beverly, and that must have been pretty cool. Did
It
you
was
met?
really cool. Yes, it was a stakeout on Dope Street. And I don't know if there's fans out there that like these old Roger Corman films. Really, they're 35 millimeter, and that's how Quentin plays his films at this particular theater in Hollywood that he acquired, that only plays reel to reel. So he's a real purist.
Mm-hmm.
And the theater had invited my mom to come and do a Q&A afterwards to the theater. And it was great because she was like 80 years old or 82 or something. Just, she was up there and she was great. And she was remembering stuff that was so fun and sweet and funny. And then she was trying to remember something else. And this is the thing I remember her saying that night. She said, when your memory goes, just forget it.
You remember? I love that. I love that.
That's what I remember from the night. But I mean, the one quote, but she had such a blast. And I just remember her just beaming, just being so grateful to still be appreciated, number one, played up on the big screen, number two, and being present enough to get up there and talk about it. And in her age, her wisdom, because everyone's always like, oh, I don't want to talk about how old I am. And it's like, God, man, do it, because it means you're here, you've been here, you get to own that wisdom that we not expect, but that you just acquire, really. So and the older you get, the more you realize, like, I just don't give a shit what other people think. So she's just like so blasting Abby Dalton from the hip pockets. She was just really like, she just says it like it is. And that's incredibly refreshing to be around, especially in this climate where everyone's getting censored or canceled or yeah, everybody has an opinion. And that's just the way it is, because as somebody coined the phrase that opinions are like assholes and everyone has one.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do have that platform that you've built for people to stand on your stage and to take your mic and to say what the hell they ever want on your page or your profile or whatever, you got to go like, okay, well, I built the stage and hand them the mic. What else did I expect? So everyone needs to be heard too. And I get it. I get it. I just can't do it anymore.
I know we were talking about the self-esteem thing before we go get into your career, and I had mentioned, of course, the ice bucket challenge because my dad, as of a month ago tomorrow, he'll have passed away from ALS after battling it for 8+ years, and the ice bucket challenge was all the rage. And I know I'd have brought up to you about the passing of Robin Williams in 2014 and the Doubtfire Face challenge that came up, and you sounded pretty interested in that.
I mean, more than interested. I'm game, Python, and I will definitely take on that challenge of getting a pie in the face. And I really love the other idea that, tell me who came up with it, with their husband in the background playing.
Oh, Sandy Johnson was one of the people I nominated. She was Judith Myers in the original Halloween, and her husband was dressed up as Michael Myers, and she was there, and she was talking about the challenge and this and that, and you just see him as Michael Myers kind of put the knife down. He takes the pie and, and he just sticks his finger and go.
Oh, yeah.
It was so funny,
Yeah.
when I had them both on here, and her husband said he kind of enjoyed that.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, that's a twofer right there. That's
Oh,
like everybody gets something out of it.
Sandy is so awesome.
Yes.
Yep, and I made a donation to one of her charities in return, which was Tunnels for Towers, families of first responders of 9/11. So if
Oh,
you do this challenge, I'll make a donation to the charity of your choice in return.
wow, wow, wow. Well, I have deep affiliation with the Trevor Project, which
Okay.
is also mental illness and suicide prevention for the LGBTQ
Mm-hmm.
teen community. So and everybody else, but yes, that would be great. I will totally do it. I'm and my mind is, I'm thinking like, who's going to be the perfect person that will enjoy hitting me in the face with a pie more than anyone? And I'm like, either my daughter or my boyfriend. It really feels like a toss up because they both, maybe I could get like a double whammy.
I'll tell you what.
They just like to gang up on me. You know how, I mean, I don't know anybody else who's in this dynamic with joyful teenager and
Oh yeah. Yeah.
they like to bond by ganging up on me, and I'm looking at it like, oh look, they're bonding. Isn't that great? And then I'm like, wait, I'm the butt of these jokes. What's going on here? Like, this is gonna be cute for a little while.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You could either film it. You can either film it yourself, or if you want to, we could even schedule a Zoom and do it if you want to. It'd be a short one, but
Yeah,
yep,
sure,
yep.
sure. Where you got it, yeah, where you're interviewing me. I'm looking around the corner to see if anyone's coming right now.
Other person,
It would be kind of funny. It was like, yeah, like in the middle of like.
Deborah Lamb did it, and at the end of her interview with me, and her husband walks in afterwards and asked her if she had done it.
Nice. If she had done it yet.
She had already done it. He goes, "Have you done it yet?"
Oh, and with the whole stuff all over her face.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Oh yeah, he just got
Yeah.
home.
See, he missed out. He missed out on the actual, because you want to give people that joy of nailing ya.
Yeah, and Nancy McLaughlin from Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, did it in front of props from the movie, and yeah. But I remember Sandy nominated Nick Castle, PJ Souls, and Felissa Rose, and I showed Felissa the video of Sandy's video at Frightmare in the Falls, and she was like, yes, yeah. She said she wants to nominate Alex Vincent and Christina Lease from Child's Play, and who was the other person? Oh,
What about Danielle Harris? I'll nominate her afterwards. So you can
Yeah, you think Danielle will do it?
and Sasha and Ellie. Yeah. Hell yeah.
I've seen some of Danielle Harris. It's funny seeing her all grown up and then this vehicle driving her
It's really
kids to
funny watching
school.
me get super old.
You don't look super old.
So
You're as
watching,
gorgeous as she is. You're beautiful. Put your face up there
look
close again. Look at
at it.
that. You're gorgeous.
Am I holding it together?
You're doing better than me. Come on. You are beautiful. Never ever sell yourself short.
Thank
Yeah,
you. I
that's
can't. I'm 5'10". How would I ever be able to sell myself short?
Look, you had a cool mom. You
I
look
have to be on my
stunning.
knees.
You look stunning.
Thank you.
Take it from me. You look stunning.
Thanks. I'm staying out of the line of fire.
There you go. Yeah, nominate Danielle Harris. Some people
Got Danielle Harris for everything, for president, for Queen of the Nile, for Cleopatra. Danielle Harris is awesome. She's one of my favorite people of all time. She's one of the just like super genuine. I mean, we've all watched her grow up. I worked with her when she was what, 9, 10 years old on the show and on Halloween 4. And, you know, she was so cute and game and just real. And she's never changed. The only thing that's changed is she became a woman and, you know, got covered in tattoos and had a couple kids. You know,
well, it's funny seeing. Well, I'll tell you.
And she got married to a really nice guy. You know, she's really cool. She's got her act together. She's always had her priorities in straight. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
You know, and she understands like her career has been from child actor to adult actor, and that's very, very difficult to do.
Yep.
And she's done it with a lot of grace, a lot of focus, and a lot of talent, and a lot of you know, she's helped the audience grow with her too. You know, she's taken them onto a new ride of like sexy ingenue to like, now she's gonna start playing like, you know, hot mom. I want to see like hot motorcycle mom.
I like it when she wears the glasses.
I want to see something with her where she really gets to feature the tats and not like being chased naked by some maniac, but like really something like, you know, because she's girl with the dragon tattoo. She's a little minx. I mean, she could play, you know, supervillain, I think. I mean, I really like, she's got a badass inside her that I think we all identify with. That's why we love her so much, because she showed that in Halloween 4. She showed that little badass, and that's just who she is, you know. And she brings that, even though she's adorable and looks like, okay, we're gonna still try and not imagine you as a 14-year-old. But she's got that cute little baby face too. But she's
I like it when she wears the glasses. It's like
she's dynamic. She's a really cool kid. Cool.
She's gonna be at Frightmare in the Falls this fall, and I'm supposed to go to that. So yeah. So if you don't get it to her beforehand, I'll show her the pie video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But if you're able to get it to her beforehand,
I really have to do this, huh?
Yeah.
No, I'm completely down. Anything for mental illness.
Because
you know, who doesn't have that?
I'm trying to get it out to the industry. So you said Danielle Harris, Sasha, and Ellie.
I'm down.
Go for it,
guys. I actually had on my YouTube. I have a great interview with the 3 of them that I hosted, and I tricked some of them in. Well, they didn't know that other people were going to be showing up, so it was like a trick or treat thing. Busted in on the Zoom thing, and Yeah, it was really fun. That's a fun thing to do, is to like schedule somebody else and they're like, oh, ding dong, look who's here. Holy crap. I don't know why people don't do more of that, but people like to have their own interview too. But it was fun.
I might have to upgrade my Zoom, so I might have to do that so we don't have any incidents like before. But nonetheless, let's talk about Kelly Meeker and you playing Kelly. Was it a standard audition when you got that role?
Yes, standard as in back in the day, going into a room and auditioning and then coming back and doing it again. And then I think it was just 2 auditions. I don't remember it being some long drawn out thing. But yeah, it was pretty standard and got the job, got to Utah where we filmed.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know anybody else who was on the cast. Oh, I knew that, of course, Donald Pleasance was going to be on it.
Love him.
Deal. And that was part of like, oh, it's going to be like the other 2, because Halloween 3 was not the most well received.
Mm-hmm.
So it felt a little bit like, well, we're going to be part of the other part of that franchise, even though I wasn't really, I hadn't seen those movies. I certainly hadn't. Here's the thing. I got ruined, and I mean ruined, by Exorcist, with Linda Blair's Exorcist, when I was a kid.
Uh-huh.
Ever since that experience, because I slept on my parents' floor for a year in their bedroom, just so I could be close to my dad snoring. And, it really did a number on me. So anyway, so I hadn't seen Halloween in the theaters. I just knew that it was a really big movie with Jamie Lee Curtis and that it was, a really big deal. So, and I was only 18, 19. How old was I? How old was I in that movie? 19?
I don't know.
I think I was 20 because I wasn't able
I
to.
could tell you this, I'm going to be 50 this year, so
Okay.
I won't say what your age is, but we're not too far apart from each
I don't
other.
care. I don't care. I'm 57. I really don't care.
You look younger than me.
Good.
You look 37. You look 37.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
Let's just go with that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm 9 or 12.
I wonder how many days, how many times
13.
Danielle Harris feels 9 or 12.
Whenever you can feel 9 or 12, that's a really great day. I'm prepubescent, or just bordering. I'm just starting to hit the hormones. That's how I feel. Anyways, got to Utah, and then I found out that Sasha Jensen was in the movie, and he and I knew each other from school.
Mm-hmm.
He took my best friend to prom. We all went to prom together.
Why didn't he take you to prom?
Because I went with Frankie Avalon Jr. Frankie Avalon, who was one of my great friends who I grew up with, and I just wanted to bring a friend. And Sasha and I weren't dating. He was kind of, I don't think he was dating Colleen, but they did make out that night. But anyway, yeah. So I was like, oh my God, Sasha, you're here. So he and I practiced and rehearsed in our little campfire scene, or our living room fire scene. And so we would be nice and relaxed a little bit for that. That was fun. He's like, I remember that so well. He's like, hey, do you want to I don't know, rehearse that scene so it doesn't feel so awkward when we get to set? I'm like, oh, sure, okay.
I bet he enjoyed that.
It was really, it was good because we were able to talk about it and just have it be the 2 of us discussing what's going to look good and what are we comfortable with, and so that we can come to the set without feeling like that awkward, all that giggly nonsense. I mean, and who can help it? It's a weird profession. I mean, who else gets to do that? Like, okay, I'm gonna be at work at 7 a.m. and I'm gonna get body makeup and I'm gonna get my wardrobe, which is like, weighs 2 ounces, and and go and make out with this dude while 30 people are standing around holding stuff.
So let me ask, you said before when Zoom interrupted that you and Danielle played lesbians in a play where there was only one man left on Earth. I'm like, who makes out better, Sasha or Danielle? I'm putting you on the spot.
You know what? I didn't actually make out with Danielle in the play, which was, I thought, I know.
Danielle's
sort
gonna
of
be so
like,
disappointed you didn't pick her.
well, I have to be honest. I mean, I've never had that real opportunity to actually really make out with Danielle. Although, if somebody wants to write a play or a movie where we get to, we're both totally game for anything. In the play, it was like we had been lovers for a long time. So we were kind of like in that super relaxed relationship thing, where I was like, come here, I kind of had my arm around her a lot. That was the established relationship part. So yeah, I'm going to have to stick with Sasha because I actually did make out with Sasha and he's a very good kisser.
There you
We had a
go.
lot of fun. Yeah.
Thumbs up for Sasha. Danielle
Oh,
pending.
2 thumbs up. Danielle also gets 2 thumbs up because I know she would do it and she would probably be, and I'm not probably, I'm sure she would be great at it.
Oh, she's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
She's great in everything. In fact, I have this script. God, if somebody wants to finance it. Yeah, I actually do have a script where there's where it's two women. It's like well, I can't give it away, but yeah, it's 2 women. It wouldn't be me and Danielle. It's actually Danielle and Kristana Loken.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. No, we actually shot photos for it. We, did a whole thing. But yeah, if somebody wants to reach out to you, Python, and you get that rolling, all I need is $1 million. We can film it in Canada. I know, we all laugh. Ha 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 ha.
Yep. Well, talk about Donald Pleasance.
He was great. He was, the older actor that I'm just checking the time right now to make sure.
Yep.
He is he was this super well-trained British badass. He definitely was the intimidation factor on the set for all of us seemingly very new and green young actors. And so he had our respect just instantly, and we all gave him his space, but he was very, and he knew that, and I think it kind of like he enjoyed the fact that we were all kind of intimidated by him. I think when I look back on it now, I can see how, he was probably like, good, they should stand back, or something like. But I do remember asking him little actor questions and things, but he definitely, at nighttime, it was, there was a red cup and there was a flask, and he kept warm, and he was, and I remember feeling that like, wow, he's got booze on the set. You can do that. I mean, I'm sure there was, it was Utah, so there wasn't like, I mean, but film sets are notorious for like, well, there's the Coke trailer, there's the weed trailer, there's the booze trailer, there's the, that's, I mean, certainly back in the 80s, definitely. And 70s too, I'm sure, when porn was king. But yeah, he was super, super respectful, super great. Once I saw the film and saw what he did, that ambulance scene and everything. And I mean, he was just a great actor. I think he was worthy of all of us being super intimidated by him. So that was all good stuff.
Absolutely. Well, talk about your death scene in the film.
The death scene was a series of getting me up on this bicycle seat that they had put up onto a door. And so my legs would dangle. And then they put a harness on me underneath the shirt, put a hole in the shirt where there was a wire attached, drilled a hole into the door so that they could pull the wire through the door. So I'm sitting on the seat and I'm just like being slammed up against that door when that riot gun goes through my torso.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was uncomfortable. It was intense. It was a series of different things. It was took a few hours, that whole sequence. And yeah, you just remember those. You remember I remember walking around in that house before I had to film that scene while everyone was at lunch. And, it's just empty. And there's still little bits of smoke hovering, old, so it has that vibe. It's still lit, not totally lit because they turned stuff off, but it's, and I wanted to go up there and check out the thing again and just get that vibe. And that place definitely had a spook factor to it for sure. So that helped. I mean, it's good to take in your environment. I really like to know my surroundings naturally. I'm more aware of my surroundings these days because of the panic porn that we're force fed at all times, and not that it's unwarranted, with movie theater shootings, with so many things that are so incredibly random and violent. It's vital to know surroundings. So, and I kind of like to absorb that also as an actor, what's going on. So few of us actually look up these days. And I think it's really, really important. Where's the exit sign? Which is the, things I'm teaching my young daughter as she goes out into the world and is dealing with all kinds of stuff. So,
you know what I was just doing right now?
Yes, I do. I saw that. You
know what happened?
I saw that again. I could feel you.
You know what? I just took care of it. Now I've got unlimited. I was like, damn, I
was the inspiration for that.
I don't know why it's doing it. There's only two of us, but you know what? I wasn't going to have that happen again.
Personalities that joined for the day.
Well, Scotty McCoy, I don't know if you've been on his show. Scotty's great. He's been on my show and he recommended
How do I know Scotty McCoy?
He does a podcast called Slasher Scotty.
That sounds really familiar. Yeah. Okay.
Well, he was the one that connected me to you and he recommended.
Okay.
Yep. So I think you must have been on his show before. He's a great guy and he recommended I get Zoom Pro. So it's like, you know what? For what was it, $20 a month or something? I'm like, cool, I'll do that. So I took care of that. I was like, you're not going to do this again. I'm hearing the Meeker shotgun story. And I love your pink fingernails.
You like that?
Oh, yeah. There you go. Anyway.
You gotta dress it up sometimes, you just got to just go a little bit big.
Talk about Ellie Cornell with Danielle Harris on her back, I'd like to see her do that now.
Probably could. They're both very strong and still really super physically fit. God, they're really gorgeous. I'm really proud of them. Ellie Cornell is such a cool lady too. Cool woman. And I think lady kind of sounds like old
a
lady.
lot of people like her.
Oh, she's so worthy. She's
They,
likable. She's
part of
an
the problem with
awesome
Halloween
person.
5, they killed her off early.
I know, lame, really too bad. But she's just a great person. She's a great mother, wife. She lives back east. I wish she lived out here so I could see her more, but yeah, really, that was a great cast. We all stayed in touch,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think that the fact that it really still plays super well is a testimony to the fact that the relationships were really there. And yes, Danielle carrying or Ellie carrying Danielle, that connection that they had was super real. The connection between Ellie and Sasha, I thought was great. There's a relationship between me and Sasha, the relation. I mean, all of those components are, those are like the invisible thread that makes us as an audience get invested and care. You can't describe it, can't always define it, but it's either there or it isn't. And the direction by Dwight, who was also on my show, also on the podcast. He's also on that. I mean, I've only done 2 podcasts, but it was the Halloween and the Hardbodies, Halloween 4 and Hardbodies. I want to do one more so that I have a full trilogy, and I want to do it with the Bride of Re-Animator people.
Well, we're going to talk about those
Cool.
Hardbodies. They got you credited as the pretty skater.
Yes. Great character name. It's 2 words. It's 2 names. Pretty was my first name and Skater was my last name. I think Pretty is definitely, it hasn't been used much for girl's name. Certainly not enough for a boy's name too, but I think it is a
So are you a pretty skater?
I was a pretty good skater. That's what my full name should have been. Because I do like a nice slide stop right in front of them. I mean, they're so lucky I knew how to do that. I skated. And then I did Rollerblade Warriors, which was not rollerblades, by the way. It was roller skates. It should have been Roller Skate Warriors taken by force. But Rollerblade Warriors taken by force because the blade came from the fact that I had a fucking retractable toe blade at the end of my roller skate. So awesome. Who has that? Who has retractable toe blades other than like Austin Powers? And I don't know.
And or a James Bond villain.
Yeah, James Bond, but it still seems like really goofy for us. That's why it works. That's a movie my mom is in, by the way. Rollerblade Warriors Taken by Force. Abby Dalton plays Mother Superior, or as she liked to describe it as a radish from outer space, because her costume was way out there and she was in a wheelchair. And I don't know why she was in a wheelchair, but it was a good thing because the costume was like, she was like a Conehead person, like from the Coneheads from Saturday Night Live. That's some ancient vintage.
I gotta, let me see. I think it's right here handy too.
Oh, you must watch this film. Rory Calhoun is in it, and Elizabeth Caton. I think I'm saying that right. Oh, that's Hardbodies.
Hardbodies. That's Hardbodies.
That's Hardbodies. That's a different one. But anyway, yeah, I roller skate in that. Pretty skater, and she's definitely I liked that character because at the very beginning she says, "I'm not taking my clothes off," and of course, production was constantly trying to get me to do that, and I'm like, well, that was never discussed in the contract prior to getting here on set. So that's where my mom really came in handy. Like, don't let people talk you into doing something that hasn't already been negotiated.
Mm-hmm.
on
I
set.
agree. I've heard
Because
these
you get on
stories.
set and you get like, oh, I'm just supposed to do what everybody, I want everyone to like me. I don't want to slow production down, and I don't want anyone to be disappointed. And da, 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 da. You know, you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So she's like, don't do anything that feels compromising that hasn't been already negotiated by your agents and prior to getting there. So that was a really sound piece of advice, especially back in those days where it was way before Me Too and
Mm-hmm.
way before anyone was being held accountable, and women were just so used to like, does this make me look hot? Because I really want to get this part. You know, and listen, there's nothing wrong with that. That is how we've, you know, does this make me look hot? I want to have fun at the club. Does this make me
You
look hot?
look
I want
hot.
to get jealous. You know,
You see, you don't have to do that to make me say it.
well, thank you, but I'm like making the point of like where women's brain was at
Mm-hmm.
and how we
It's
now.
about what we talked about earlier, acceptance and self-esteem, you know?
Well, yes, and there's two ways to, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, because yes, do I want to look hot, but do I want to be sexually accosted? No. Do I want to be placed in compromising positions just because I'm looking hot? No. I want to like just be, here's the thing, I don't need to be right. I just want to be respected. That's where I think women have always played it, within that realm of like, look, I just want to be respected. I don't care if you think I'm this way or that way. Yes, I'm definitely using every asset I have to get the job that's being asked of me. But this business has always been notorious for compromising people, because the fame and the wealth and the power are just such huge components to come up against. And those days back on the Hardbodies days, we didn't even own the locations. They were putting film school posters up on the side of trucks. So there wasn't any, I mean, it was a SAG film, but there wasn't any SAG rep on set. There wasn't anyone going like, you know, everyone's in a bathing suit. And they're like, okay, we want you to be in the opening titles, but we really want you to take your top off. And I'm like, no,
Mm-hmm.
no, this hasn't been negotiated. In fact, you even putting me in the main titles hasn't even been negotiated. If we're just catching film for the B-roll, sure, I guess, which made it into the main titles. Anyway, the point is we have come a long way. There's still a ton of nudity on film. There's probably way more. And it's on regular programming, like God, Game of Thrones. That was like Euphoria.
It's weird the
Shows
stuff
that I
that
watched
was.
with my kid, you know. I'm watching very intense like family porn with my kid.
It's weird, you know, back in 1971, where A Clockwork Orange and Straw Dogs were all banned in various places in the world. And then 30 years later, Freddy Got Fingered gets an R rating instead of NC-17. I don't understand the thought process today, you know, but we need to talk about Fraternity Vacation, because I mean,
Where I do take my clothes off, where I was like, that's been negotiated.
and you get to work with Stephen Jeffries, who was Evil Ed in Fright Night.
He's awesome. Yes. He actually went horseback riding. I took he and Amanda Beers horseback riding because they have that horseback riding scene in the film.
Mm-hmm.
And they really were both very concerned about it. And I was like, guys, I've been an equestrian all my life, and let's go get you out on some red horses, and it'll be fun, and you'll be ready to, you know, to work in front of a camera and not be, you know, all brand new to it. So they were like, yeah, yeah. So we did it a couple of times. We went for a couple of rides, and these horses were like, I mean, it was riverbeds. You know, when you're riding a horse through riverbed, empty riverbed, it's really sandy and soft. So, and they enjoy it because it's cool in there, and there's usually reeds growing and stuff. So in Palm Springs, there were these really great spots where we just let the horses go. Watching Stephen Jeffries and Amanda like take off, and then we'd stop, and they would just be both like super wide-eyed and like, whoa, it was so fun. So they were pretty ready to act on horses when they had to for the film. So that was some really fun times. I mean, Tim Robbins, Cameron Dye, oh my God, the great Cherie J. Wilson, Matt McCoy, who I just did another movie with, a Hallmark. John Vernon, who's amazing. Oh my God.
Barbara Crampton.
Barbara Crampton, who I love and adore. Yeah, I mean, exactly.
Britt Eklund.
Right, Britt Eklund.
Speaking of James Bond, she was in one of those.
Yes. Yeah, and Lee McCloskey, speaking of Dallas and Dynasty. I mean, everybody was just really, and James Frawley, the director, who did a ton of the Monkees episodic. And yeah, so everyone came with some really cool history and starting out. Yeah, that was a great cast. That was a lot of fun.
Oh yes, a great cast, and I think I had a Bride of Re-Animator. I gotta ask you about that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Bride of Re-Animator was quite a few auditions to get that. It's a very, very physical role, so it took a lot of physicality within that audition, which was just so freeing. And to be able to have that opportunity to play something that was so completely outside of myself. And I had not seen the Re-Animator prior to it.
Barbara Crampton.
I know. Well, that's what I said when I was watching the film. I was like, oh my God, I just did a movie with her. I had no idea. Like I said, like I don't seek those kinds of movies out. I mean, when I would go see movies, it was like Top Gun, The Blue Lagoon.
Well, I think the last film I do want to bring up.
Yeah, I mean, those were the movies that I would go see. So anyways, I went back and back, and I enjoyed all that physicality of just, being a monster, and what was that, and what were all those different body parts doing in my body, and just, bringing out any kind of dance training I ever had, which was not a lot, but enough that,
Jeffrey Combs, Bruce Abbott.
They're brilliant. But anyway, I got home, watched the movie, watched Re-Animator. I got the job. I go get the script from the place. They give me the full script. I sign the contracts, get home, pop the VHS into the VHS machine, sit back. I was married to Lorenzo Lamas at the time.
Yep.
We sit back and start watching this film, and I start having a panic attack that was like, holy fucking shit. And he was like, you're gonna be great. This is great. This is like pop culture. Mm-hmm. This movie is, it's hilarious, it's crazy, it's super campy, it's super got an audience. And you're going to be the bride, and you're going to be working with this same crew. They're great. He loved Jeffrey and Bruce, and he's like, you're so lucky you get to work with them. So, I mean, he kind of helped talk me into doing it, quite honestly, because I was really freaking out. But then I got to meet K&B, the Kurtzman, Nicotero, and Berger FX group. They were out in Chatsworth in their big warehouse out there, and we did like 20 to 30 different casts in one day. And at the end of that day, I was like, I'm going to have the greatest time of my life. And I am so excited to work with this particular team because they were just going to be all about me, which they were. And it soothed me because these are geniuses. These are the artists on effects, makeup guys that came from Stan Winston. And, you know, just, it was such a practical time back then where the artistry and the process was really part of it. It was kind of, I don't know if that makes sense, but like they helped me build that character. So because it was such a wardrobe for me to put on all that makeup, 8 hours every day, 3 hours to get off, full 24-hour turnarounds so that my skin and hair and body could recover and my exhaustion levels. And they took care of me. So it was phenomenal. It was a really, really, really great experience. The toughest thing I've ever done, but I would do it again.
The last film I wanted to ask you about, totally different, That Thing You Do with Tom Hanks.
God, what a great time too. What's interesting about that is that I had just gotten fired from Renegade because I had been on that show for 4 years. What a way to segue.
Why did they fire you, if you don't mind me asking?
I was very honest on a Howard Stern interview. I'd done Howard Stern 3 times. They'd given me a radio show in LA on KLSX, and they wanted me to promote. KLSX had just gone all talk radio. 97.1 was like, and now they're back to music again. But it was like all these different talk show hosts, Susan Olsen, Kato Kalin. There were some really interesting lineup. And I was Friday and Saturday nights with a friend of mine, Kimberly Hooper. We were the Bad Girls Club. And of all the radio people that were on, Howard only wanted to promote me. So they're like, you have to do it. You have to do it. And I was supposed to be on Renegade down in San Diego on the set at like 10 a.m. And which meant, okay, if I go on Howard here in LA for a New York time, hopefully I'll go on at 1 and then just drive down to San Diego. Didn't happen. He didn't bring me on until like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, because he was pissed off that Jay Leno had blacked out his 2 lesbians kissing on the show. So that was the whole night. He was like ranting about that for about 2.5 hours. And then he had somebody else on before me, and then I came on, and I was like exhausted and really loose, not from drinking alcohol or anything, but just like filter gone. And he spent like 30 seconds talking about the radio show, and then literally the next half hour just rifling questions to me about Lorenzo and about his new fiance, and who had just posed in Playboy, and Lorenzo had put her Polaroids up on the makeup trailer and on the Renegade set. And I started talking about it, and it wasn't smart, and it wasn't, but it was honest. I mean, I was just honestly giving the facts. And with an interviewer like Howard Stern, you are there to be fodder for his feast. And if you don't answer truthfully, he will know, and he will grill you about it, and you will dig yourself a hole that you never saw coming. And I knew that about him because I'd already done a show. Doing his show got me the radio show. So I was damned if I did, damned if I didn't. I was just damned. I was tired. So got to the set. Of course, everyone tuned in to listen to the show on their way to work in San Diego. I didn't even listen to it because somebody was driving me and I was sleeping in the car. I get to the set and all the Teamsters are standing there like a mafioso lineup, and they're like, you really need to look out for Lorenzo. He's really pissed. And sure enough, he had listened to the show and he was really pissed. So he fired me, got me fired. So Tom Hanks, who's brother-in-law I was dating at the time, because Lorenzo and I had split up in the second season. So I was dating Tom Hanks' brother, Chris, Rita Wilson's brother. And so I had met Tom numerous times, family events, gone to several premieres. I went to a premiere for the Houston, We Have a Problem. What movie was that again?
Apollo 13.
Yes, I went to the Apollo 13 movie, and Kevin.
Bacon?
No, Kevin, the guy that I do the scene with and that thing you do. Kevin Pollak. Kevin Pollak.
Pollak, yeah.
Kevin Pollak, who's a brilliant actor, really funny comedian, he was there. And so he and I were standing next to each other, and I'm in platforms and he's not. And so, you know, I'm already 5'10". So Tom just thought that the side by side height difference was just already natural comedy. So it was kind of like we were standing there talking to Tom, and Tom kept giggling. And I thought, why is he giggling? Anyway, a couple weeks later, he gave me a phone call and said, "You want to be in my movie?" He left it on my voicemail. I saved it forever.
There you go. There
Yeah,
you go.
that was pretty neat. So I didn't have to audition. I didn't have to do anything. I was handed a really great part on a silver platter by Tom Hanks on the heels of getting fired from one of the greatest jobs of my life. So, yeah.
How are we doing on time?
We are actually, I definitely need to get going.
Okay. Okay.
But
All right. You know what? It's been wonderful having you on here, and I hope to meet you at one of the cons. I'll send you a message about the Doubtfire Face challenge, you know, so we can maybe do something with that.
And I just want to let everyone know I did write a couple of books.
Oh,
they're
yes.
on my website, KathleenKinmont.com. You can order them through Amazon. I wrote a children's book called Magic and Beauty about a Pegasus and a unicorn who create the planet.
Oh, wow.
And my kind of bio, a little bit, it's called I Should Have Been Nicer to Quentin Tarantino and Other Short Stories of Epic Fails and Saves. And it is quite the book. It is also available on Audible, which I read during COVID, because what else are you supposed to do?
I still worked. Well, you're a cleaner. I was in high demand.
Yes, I want to say thank you for your work in the hospitals and doing what you did to keep it clean and safe there for everybody, for not only for the patients, but also for the doctors, nurses, and staff that work there. I think it's a very, very important job, and I really appreciate it. And I'm sure your fellow Canadians do too when they come to the hospital. So very heroic work.
Well, hopefully I'll get to see you at one of the cons. I was supposed to see Danielle Harris at Frightmare in the Falls, but you ever get any really strange things people approach you to autograph? Like, do you have like the strangest thing you've ever been asked?
Skin is always the weirdest thing for me to autograph, but because they're going to go get a tattoo.
I hear that a lot.
Yeah, I think that's a little interesting, but you know, people like to be doodle pads these days. That's the big tattoo thing, is you know, random stuff. So if that's what makes people happy, I'm really not here to judge. I'm just here to enjoy. But thank you so much, Python. Thank you for taking the time, and I'm looking forward to doing the pie challenge. And to all your listeners and to everyone in Canada, go Canada. I just want to say I've been watching the hockey playoffs and listening to the Canadians sing their national anthem is one of the most heartwarming things I've experienced in a long time. They're playing the LA Kings right now, but I'm pretty excited that we made it to the playoffs, but also that they're playing our neighbors Canada, which is a wonderful thing.
Look who popped by.
Oh, look at that.
Skittles. Say hello to Kathleen Kinmont.
Kinmont. You got to say my name right.
Oh, gee, I'm sorry. I got an L in there. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, Kinmont, sorry.
It's all right. Hi, Skittles.
Skittles.
You guys take care. Bye. Meow, meow. Be well.
Before I let you go, would you do a plug for my show?
Sure.
Just state your name And say you play Kelly Meeker in Halloween 4, and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Awesome. This is Kathleen Kinmont. I play Kelly Meeker on Halloween 4. You're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. I hope you win the edition, and
Thank
we'll
you.
plan the other stuff. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you. Take care.
God
Bye-bye.
bless.
God bless.
Bye
God
bye.
bless. Sure. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.